for it, so let us start. Apologise, I've got my welding glasses again because it's the only pair that haven't broken. Okay then. So Emma, apologies for absence.
I've had apologies from Jerry to say that he might be late, so he might come along at some point, but he said he got to the meeting.
We're happy to accept Jerry's postponed stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, declarations of interest. I must say the Clock Fund is coming up later on. As a trustee of the Clock Fund, declare that one. David.
I'll join you in that declaration.
Okay then. 2 members of the Clock Fund then.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Interested parties? If nobody has to join us. And then, okay, so we're on to the minutes of the previous meeting. The meeting of the 13th of October, and myself, David Chappell, Jerry and Malcolm were present. Anybody got any problems with the meeting, the minutes?
I don't remember seeing anything that...
Happy for me to sign those.
Yeah.
I've done in anticipation, Emma, and here they are going in an envelope for you.
Have you got a seconder for that, Tony? I've got you down as proposed.
I'll second, but you can't see my hand.
Thank you.
I'll second it visibly.
So, should I all in favour?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So now into the meaty bit. I must admit, I got confused on opening all the attachments in which item they're each of them are for. But let's start with then. Receive the balance sheet, bank reconciliation, and budget account for October. Anybody got any questions on those?
So what are we doing? Receive the balance? No, none at all.
Yeah, so balance sheet, bank reconciliation, and the budget account for October. So Emma, just one question on the hub details, which were in one of those documents. The money coming in from the furlough scheme, is that somewhere else in the accounts, or is that included?
Isn't that in as part of salaries?
It is, yeah. It negates part of the salary.
Right. Okay. So the number in there then has already got that allowed for.
It has, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask something for next time? Can we see an aged debtors account at some point?
Sorry,
Maybe aged creditors.
Aged debtors. Yeah.
Creditors, yeah.
Yeah. And the other one that came up from me on that. Sorry, come on, Malcolm.
I've finished.
Okay. The other one that came up from that, I don't know if we're allowed to do this. We seem to have the tips in our accounts. There was only £12 of tips, but surely those should go to the hub staff.
The tips always went to a charity. They never actually had the tips themselves.
Okay, right. So they're to go to a charity then.
So yeah, but we've since found quite a few little pots of money in various different colours.
484,000.
But yeah, I mean, what we've done at the moment, we have just banked it all cash that we found in the hub area. We've banked, but certainly those tips, if we could put them towards a charity, which I'm sure that's we used to change the charity, or Paul.
Generally, it was generally related to Karen.
Yeah, Karen Hop.
Okay. It's only the way it looks in the reports, like they got mixed up in our profit and loss sheets, and almost like the tips were part of our profits, and they shouldn't be.
Initially, the first bit is just any money that we receive, we can't just have cash and then pay it out. It's got to be seen to go through an audit of coming into.
So we have to show where it's gone in,
Okay.
so when it goes out.
All I'm doing in that is showing that I'm reading the documents.
Very proud of you, Tony.
Okay, so
sorry, Tony, was that an agreement to any tips that's going to come in? Is that going to go to a specific charity then?
Well, personally, I don't think the tip should appear on the Angle Town Council accounts anywhere. That they, when people put money in those jars, they don't think it's going into the. This is what happened with a lot of the coffee shops, got themselves into trouble, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, part of being a council, we have to have an audit trail of any money that goes in. So the choices were either keep a pot of money underneath Emma's drawer in a nice brown paper bag, or
No, all right. So look, we've dealt with it now, and it can't happen in the future because we're not open. But
no.
it's just something that didn't look quite right. The tips going into our profit and loss account.
So shall I pay that? Now we've got the money paid into the bank. Shall I pay it to the charity that we normally do for Karen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure, Emma, you were mouthing that, weren't you?
Because there was a bit of noise.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. Then to receive the external auditor report and the certificate from March.
Yes, we there was nothing that they'd highlighted that we needed to do or change, so everything went through quite smoothly. It's all it's on the website, it's on the notice board for everybody to see, so another year over with.
Yeah, okay. Anybody got anything else to add to that one? No. Right, to consider the grant then for St. Peter's Clock Fund. So Malcolm, will you talk amongst yourself on this?
I will. But I agree with myself that we should get them the money. It's only £300, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't have a personal interest in it. So, I mean, it seems sensible to put money aside. We've been doing it for as many years as I can remember. So, yeah, I'm in favour of accepting it.
Okay. So, Emma, again, we take a vote on that, do we?
Yes, please, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then. Well, I'll propose that we've met the grant of £300 to the Clock Fund.
Mhm.
A seconder. David seconded it. And Malcolm, are you in favour of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
And then to consider the budget information and guidelines from CALT. So this one, is this related to the final item about setting the budget?
It's the information that I mean, most years they send out some information to give guidance, so it's just something to think about, and also Paul did a sort of précis of it as well, for us to think about before we finalise our budget.
Yeah. So do we want to do this and the budget in at the same time? Talk about it now?
Yeah, can do. Yeah. The budget up.
Because I think it was quite a specific item, a document. So this is the one where he's suggesting that we keep they say we should be keeping 12 months reserve.
Up to 12 months.
Yeah, up to 12 months.
Yeah. Well, what he was saying was because of because of the high number of assets we've got, we should be closer to that 12-month number than the 3. Well, we struggled on 3 before, so.
Because we've gone down the route before of things have gone wrong, like the courthouse went wrong, that cost 25,000. We reached this stage about 8 or 9 years ago, as David will remember, when we suddenly had Cemetery Chapel, Cemetery Lodge, the Drill Hall House, all going wrong, to the point of suddenly we would have had to have spent £50,000 on a new roof for the drill hall. Yeah. And at the end of it, all you've got is a drill hall. And that's why eventually the decision was made to sell all of those things and buy Fletton House. But you run the risk of doing the same thing again. If you don't increase your precept, then some of the assets we have will invariably have some issues, and you suddenly need to find £25,000, £50,000, and then we don't have it. We can't do the other things. And that's what Stan is saying. Keep the war chest fully stocked, because no one knows what's going to happen. Part of the devolved services means that Emma may well end up by getting more work to do. And do you want to incorporate that with her
Yeah. David and then
I
Malcolm.
mean, I think there's a case to be made, and I know we've dipped in and out of doing it over the years, but to have a contingency line in the budget, because contingencies happen, as Paul has just been saying, you know, things suddenly need repair, and whilst we might have put a figure in for repair and maintenance in the budget, it may be woefully inadequate on occasions, and that's when you delve into your contingency funding, which, if not spent, could then be added to reserves to bolster those, it seems to me. So conscious of a remark that Emma made, I think, before we managed to actually have anybody else present, about where we may be heading budget-wise, it seems to me to be sensible to ensure that we have adequate funds, have a contingency, and, as I say, transfer unspent contingency as a matter of course to reserves, certainly to build them up to at least 6 months worth.
Malcolm?
Well, that sounds all very sensible, but this time is not a good time, I don't think, to put up the precept. Or maybe next year, I don't know. I thought we were already putting quite a lot of money into reserves from the underspend this year.
Emma? You're on mute.
Yeah.
Paul is trying to get in.
Yeah, Paul is about to speak.
Then yes, we do have some funds. If everything goes as it is, we're sort of £97,000 in profit, but that's automatically been depleted by £8,000 by getting the van. And all you're doing is pushing back the projects you have for this year to next year. So automatically, if we don't make any provision now, next year's budget will have to go up by at least £50,000. And that's if anything else drops up in the intervening period. And one of the advantages we have with the precept at the moment is that because our tax base is increasing, it depends what you mean by increasing your precept. Do you mean increasing the figure that you're getting, or the precept for a Band D property?
Yeah, I understand.
Because we've got more houses in the area, it means that our Band D figure will come down even though we borrow more money. So we could feasibly borrow, or not borrow, but you could get another £74,500 of precept, and the Band D figure for next year will not increase.
Yeah.
So when you say you don't want your precept to increase, do you mean you don't want the precept figure for a Band D to increase, or you don't want to borrow any more money?
Well, in my mind, I don't want the precept for a Band D to increase.
In which case you could afford to get another £74,500 on the precept, and that won't happen.
Yeah. I think, you know, that's where we're aiming at, and I know if Jerry was here, that's exactly what he would be saying. I don't think anybody's talking about reducing the precept, you know, the Band D precept.
Yeah.
But you know, keeping it as it is.
In which case, it does mean that you can fulfil some projects now and next year without having to eat into whatever money you have as reserves.
Yeah. So the other thing then is that desire to increase the reserve. So it says, you know, that yes, you get a bit more in, but you don't go out and spend it straight away. You keep it because you want to keep a higher reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're also saying, Paul, is that we can actually afford to spend some more money on existing projects.
Exactly, yes.
Yes.
What you want to do is find in another 2 years' time that you've got all of these projects that you need to complete, and you don't necessarily have the funds to do it.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, you carry on.
And then other things can still go wrong.
When you arrived at this figure, the increase in tax base, is that over the last year or projected or what?
No, that's the figure we got from East Northants Council. It's a figure which they said will be for 21-22. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it's being put to the members soon. So it's a figure which they've recommended that we use, but it's a bit like going to the House of Lords. Once you've got it through the first part, it should become law, but it's not 100% guaranteed.
Right.
On the basis that we don't have to finalise the budget till January, by then we should know for certain should we not?
We should. It's likely that will be the figure.
Yeah.
Would we know that? I thought they didn't do that until their sort of late January meeting.
It's some point is generally around about the same time that we need to make a
Yeah.
decision.
Well, that of course is typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Logically, it would make a lot of sense if it was done before people had to finalise their precepts. Otherwise, you are making a bit of a stab in the dark. But I take Paul's point. I mean, I think we can more or less assume that it's going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And it seems to me it's a win-win, isn't it? I mean, we can ensure that people are not actually paying out more money, which will be welcome, and yet we will increase the resources available to us to enable us to carry through some of the projects and potentially build up a bit more reserve as well. So seems to me that's ideal.
I agree. I presume that this is going to go on with all the house building that's projected now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
That's just the one benefit of having more houses.
yes, it could be quite significant in years to come.
Yeah.
But it does also mean that the exercise that we went through last month, we're very carefully paring back things and saying, well, let's delay the toilets until the next year and so on. Maybe we won't need to do that. Perhaps we can actually get on with it, COVID permitting.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I agree again with Paul. A stitch in time saves nine. You know, we've seen over the years a failure to spend money on maintenance has generally ended up going wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of the guidelines then, I think you've done a great piece of work there, Paul, and it's showing us the consequences of some of the decisions we might be going through at the moment. But there's, you know, I feel there's enough, not momentum, but enough belief within the councillors. If we keep the band D, you know, at the same level as it is currently, and then see what that produces in terms of surplus. And we don't have to commit it to projects at this time. You know, we're having the conversation about improving the reserve fund, which is what the NCALC letter was really saying to us.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get it back in order then. We'll do the budget at the very last item.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Right. Review the financial regulations for approval at the next full council meeting.
Yeah, I didn't change anything on this. Normally I go through and change, but the only difference is obviously we make a lot of references to the hub and the flow to one thing and another and how we bank the money. Are you happy for me to just remove that from those financial regulations, because everything else does seem to sort of be running the same? I couldn't see anything different.
Yeah. I'm quite happy if you either remove it or leave it there. You know, it says that the hub is currently closed. You know, but whichever you think is politically the right thing to do.
I think you should leave it there. You don't know what you might do in 9 months' time with the hub.
Yeah, okay. It's just that I'm just thinking our current, as we stand at the moment, the current financial regulations have things in there that we're not actually doing.
My instinct is they're easy enough to change, and therefore having in provisions that we know we're not using doesn't make a lot of sense, as long as we retain the information so we can restore it as and when.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'm quite easy on that one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Emma. So
I'll just go through, remove
bits.
move the hub references and then put them forward for full council for approval. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Consider carrying out an internal control of the council's finances. So we need a member to act as the verification council.
Yes.
Is that right?
Because Terry's resigned from the council, and I think Malcolm, you said that you've got too much to do, didn't you?
Well, I got too much personal stuff to do. I don't want
Yeah.
to do it. I've done it for long enough. I think somebody else will do it.
Yeah. But obviously Paul and I, whatever we do, we're going to have to try and do it over Zoom. But
Yes.
it's how we do that, but we just really need somebody to be able to just go through it with us.
Well, we take a vote on it here that it's Jerry, then I think we get a unanimous vote. Well, maybe we ask Jerry if he can do it.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, if he can, that would be great.
Yeah. Fine. I'll email
Yeah,
it.
it is important that somebody does that, you know, and
Yeah.
it's, you know, because I know you guys are left extremely vulnerable with the
Yeah.
current lack of personal contact with everybody. It's quite a worrying time for you.
What we can do is, because Paul is scanning all invoices, and we've got them in a zipped file, we can, like, Jerry can literally have all of that, go through it. So, you know, he can probably have a little bit of time to go through it on his own, and then we can have a Zoom meeting to go through it.
Right. And if Jerry feels he can't do it, then we'll have to look
Then
at
I'll bring it back to,
bringing somebody else onto this group that can actually do it.
yeah. Or I could bring it to the next full council meeting, see if there's anybody there.
Yes, yeah. So if Jerry says no, then we'll take his full count.
Yeah, okay.
That's quicker. Yeah, much quicker.
Yeah.
Right, then all the way around to the budget for 21-22. I think we talked enough about, you know, we just want to keep that band D the same.
Mm-hmm.
In the spreadsheet that you did, and you know,
Right. Hopefully you should be able to see it in a minute.
yeah,
Malcolm won't be able to. Right. This is the proposed budget, and that column is your the proposed budget for next year.
yeah.
Start. Where do you want to start? Top, bottom?
Go on.
There was,
Paul.
there was only one thing I changed, and that was for the works van, which at the time was projected for, I think it was 22-23, but we obviously bought it. So I moved it into this year and changed the profit and loss accordingly.
You've got
Okay.
it here.
And there, yeah. It was before we pushed it forward about 22-23.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just out of interest, have we sold the old van?
We have now, because we didn't get anything back from the insurance company,
No.
and so we sold it for scrap.
Oh,
Mm.
well, you could have done better than that for it. Yeah. How much should we
Well,
get?
but I don't know whether it was scrap. I think it was somebody that Nobby knows. So he doesn't quite know what they were going to do with it, but he had it. We got £50 for it.
Hmm. Okay. The other one then, I'll just bring the others in a moment, but the other one I did notice was on the cemetery. We've got £11,000, I think, and it was only that you had notes in there. Yeah, said 1,000 for repair and maintenance and 10k for the extension. Well, repairs and maintenance will be the same as what we've used historically, and we said we were going to increase that that spend on the cemetery, didn't we? So the number's all right. It's just the note isn't quite the way I thought we were agreeing to.
You just
Sorry, how did you
for an R&M then?
How did you want
1k for R&M when we were projected to spend 3.5k this year.
Mm.
You know, must be wrong.
Yeah, I think we should just change that to repairs and maintenance at 11,000.
Okay.
If that's okay with the other guys, David.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my connection for a minute or two, living out here in the sticks, as you were talking about earlier. But so I haven't managed to find the right page in my papers, but it sounded all right from what you were saying.
Okay, Malcolm, you okay with that? We're just changing the
I'm
words
fine.
on it, really.
But are we going? When are we going to decide what we can spend all this other money on, or some of it?
Were you talking about cemetery or the other items?
No, we just said we could increase the amount of
Oh,
money.
what, the 74,500?
How are we going to deal with that?
I would propose that we just put that into a reserve fund Yeah, that we don't plan to spend it, because the conversation we just had was, we were trying to increase the reserve fund.
Yeah, I realise that. I thought we were going to do some and some, but anyway, that's fine. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, we did spend quite a lot of time going through this last time.
I know we did.
So it's only really cementing up all these things that we said.
Yeah, okay.
The only one thing I did think about was we put 25,500 into public conveniences for the refurbishment. But I know a few of the quotes that we had were sort of in the region of about 30. So I didn't know if perhaps we should add a bit more into that.
I don't have a problem with increasing that to 30.
That
No.
then we could potentially take some out of that 74,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or do you
That's
want me,
fine, Emma.
do you want me
I've
to
done
do anything with that, or do you
it.
want
I've done
to-
that.
Have you done it on yours?
Yeah.
Okay, right, I'll leave this one as it is then.
Yeah. Malcolm or David, have you noticed anything else you want to a little more info on at the moment?
No, although I must admit I haven't had as much time to look at this as I would have liked, but nothing that sort of immediately struck me. The only thing that did strike me, and it's slightly going off at a tangent, but I see on the agenda it says to approve it for full approval at November's full council meeting, which is after all only a week away. That does not give other councillors a great deal of time to look at it, and I would have thought it might be better to look at this in December and give us all plenty of time to look at it, raise any questions that anybody's got with Paul, and then do it in December, which would still be a whole month earlier than we've usually managed anyway, because we normally do it in January.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
So we could circulate it after this meeting, and then, as I say, everybody's got plenty of time to then look at it and come back to us.
Do you want me to put anything on the November agenda in case anybody's?
Yeah, we'll put it on that we can present it the way it is,
Yeah,
and then saying, this is for information, and then go away, we'll have approval in December.
yeah,
Well, it'll be
okay.
part of the minutes of this meeting, won't it?
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah.
we publish it with the minutes, and then we can make it clear to councillors next week that we hope everybody will have the opportunity to study it. If they've got any questions, to raise them with Paul, so that come December we can hopefully either adopt it as is or make whatever changes then appear appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine. Mhm.
Okay. Right, unless anybody's got any other questions then on this, then we can press the button on that. Emma, yes.
Just one thing, I just suddenly thought, I was going to have a QVH meeting before the November full council to
Yep.
approve the QVH budget. But do you want me to move? Do you want to do that in November, or do you want to move that to December?
Well, logically, move it to December if we're going to look at the whole budget then.
Yep.
It's just it'll be done in two separate. At some point, we've got to agree agree the QVH budget in the QVH meeting,
Yes.
or we approve the full budget.
So let's do them both in December then. Yep.
Yeah,
All right, thanks.
I'll put off the QVH meeting then for November, because that was the only thing I'd got on the agenda.
All right.
Fine.
Or do you want me to have it so that you can discuss it?
No, put the whole thing back to December. It'll be
okay.
good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so any other business for report only?
Not from me.
No.
No, I can't.
Not from me either, other than to remark on the fact that that must be the fastest meeting we've ever managed to have.
No.
which maybe owes something to the fact that Paul's done a good job on this, because it's left us with less to worry about. Mind you, the last one was a bit tortuous, as I recall.
Yeah.
No, it's very good. Thanks, Paul, and Emma, you know, putting this together so nicely for us.
That's okay.
So we're just about to finish this meeting. I'd like a quick word before we go off air, but stop the recording.
Do you want me to stop the recording?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'll just. Very.